I'm just Charles Peters. Can everybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm having connection issues, so I'm going to turn off my video, but I'm going to leave my audio on. So. All right. So, now, is each side ready for trial?
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff is ready for trial.
And is the defense ready for trial? So is the defense ready, present?
We're having technical difficulties right now.
Okay, not a problem. I just want to make sure you're present. All right. We will go ahead and hold off until you take care of your technical difficulties.
All right, thank you.
Excuse me, can I ask which team is the plaintiff and which team is the defendant on this for the scoring sheet?
Yes, Team V is the plaintiff, and it looks like Team L will be the defense.
Thank you.
One of our attorneys is currently trying to rejoin, so we'll be ready in a sec.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you.
So on our side, it says that she needs permission to enter. Who's in charge of that?
Your Honor, we're also having a bit of a problem where they're trying to get in through our school Chromebooks. It has been approved by Kim that we can use one computer that's working for the witnesses, but they're still trying to get that settled.
That's perfectly fine. I think everybody's having a bit of computer issues, so hopefully everybody will have all their issues corrected sooner we can start, but take your time.
Thank you.
So on my co-counsel's screen, it's saying that the host has to let her in and that it will let her in soon.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm the host, and if I am, I'm not sure how I do that. Let me see if I can find somebody who knows that. Just a moment.
Where's the host? Your Honor, it looks like the Arapahoe County Regional is the host, and it looks like they're not connected right now.
Okay. I'm texting them right now to see if what can be done.
Hello. I am the final attorney for the defense. Apologies, I was having some technical difficulties.
That's not a problem. It appears that everybody's having technical difficulties today, including myself. So is everybody now present or? Okay. So the plaintiff side, are you ready for trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And the defense, are you ready for trial?
A couple of our witnesses are still experiencing technical difficulties with the Chromebooks because there's an extension for Zoom that is banned on our school Chromebooks, and we're trying to figure it out.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get that figured out soon, but we'll go ahead and wait. Thank you.
Apologies. We are ready.
I want to welcome everybody to the 2022 mock trial competitions. Now, each side, have you provided the scoring panelists copies of your trial roster and the team's code? I know it was apparently done on Dropbox, so have you uploaded those?
Team V did put their roster in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, not the Dropbox, but chat room. Okay, and I believe the defense also did that.
We're asking our sponsor.
Okay, now I'm going to turn off my video because I'm having connection problems also. So I'm going to still be here on audio, but I'm going to turn off my video to try to free up some whatever the bandwidth or whatever it's called. Okay, now if video recorders are present being used, have both teams approved the taping of this round?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and the Colorado Bar Association may be taking photographs of the competition during the round, and that team participation in the state tournament grants Bar Association. I just need to inform everybody of that. And anybody in the gallery who is connected to the teams not competing in that round, such as student members or coaches or other students of the same school but a different team, you need to leave the courtroom. And there's no recesses that will be allowed, with the exception of those granted for health emergency, and especially not between the end of a witness exam and the beginning of closing arguments. Now, if there's technical difficulties, I do have, which we have experienced, of course, I do have, Now, scoring panelists, do any of you have any bias, reason to believe that you're biased in judging either team? I think you've seen the rosters of the team members. But is there anyone that you feel you cannot be fair to these teams based on knowing somebody? Okay, I'm not getting any responses saying that there is any sort of issue. So, all right. Oh, I see Miss Plyer, you came on. Is there an issue with any of the scoring, any of the team members, ma'am?
No, Your Honor. I just unmuted to let you know that there are no conflicts for me.
Okay, great. Thank you. And if there's conflicts, if anybody else, just if there is a conflict, just let me know. You don't have to mute yourself if there is no conflict. So, okay. And I see Mr. Atkin has come on. Is there a conflict, sir?
No conflicts, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Now, if just want to remind the teams and the coaches that if there's any disputes arising out of this competition, it must be reported in accordance with the competition rules, and that your compliance with the time requirements will be considered in scoring individual performances. Now is there a coach or a team member other than a timekeeper? Oh, let me read this right. Is there a coach or team member other than a timekeeper seated in the jury box or in the virtual courtroom? If there is, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to presume there's not.
Your Honor, the letter L, that person from our team is no longer in this meeting. I'm not sure why it is still projected in the meeting, but you can like eject them out of the meeting. They're not. Oh, look, they just disappeared. Right.
Okay, but anybody who's not supposed to be there, Cornu is gone, that you know of? All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, this time I'd like to ask each side to introduce your participating team members, the attorneys and the witnesses. We'll go ahead and start off with the plaintiff, if you would.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel. My name is Emma Seneshin, and I, along with my co-counsel, represent the plaintiff today. our team did put our team roster and pronouns in the chat. I see Team L did the same. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I'm not able to open the link in the chat. But that might just be me.
I'm not sure. Is anybody on your team able to open that link?
Saffron, are you able to open it?
I am not, Your Honor. It's not working for me either.
Let me download it directly into my computer and then get a link that should be open, should be able to be opened.
Okay, if you would please do that. And teammate, if you go ahead and introduce your members.
Yes, Your Honor. If my co-counsel could now introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel. My name is Lydia Brisky, and today I will be presenting the opening statement.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel. My name is Saffron Bennett Spurlock, and today I will be presenting the closing arguments.
And Your Honor, would it be possible for our witnesses to also introduce themselves?
Yes, please. The attorneys and the witnesses, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Perry, and I am Dakota Weirs.
Good afternoon. My name is Ruth Herlinger, and I am Carson Durst.
Good afternoon. My name is Lucy Walker, and I am Dr. Casey Rogers.
And Your Honor, we do have 3 housekeeping matters at this time.
All right. Is it related to the trial itself? Because I'd like to wait till the defense can introduce their team members.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, jury, and opposing counsel. My name is Nedi Mohammed. I'm an attorney, and I will be doing the direct examination and cross-examination of Blake and Dr. Rogers.
And if your other team members could introduce themselves also.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Jade Garrett. I will be directing Skylar Wares, crossing Dakota Wares, and I will be performing the closing statement.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Leslie Sandoval. I will be the defense attorney. I will be doing the opening statement. I will be crossing Carson Durst and doing the direct for Dr. Devin Williams.
And others?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Dassi Revron, and I will be Dakota Weirs and Skylar Weirs.
Good afternoon, I'm Lisa Alvarez, and I will be portraying the witness, Blake Doncourt.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Devan Robertson, and I'll be portraying Carson Durst.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Jace Felix, and today I will be portraying Dr. Devin Williams.
Okay, are there any others? Are there any others need to introduce?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, great. All right, and what I'm gonna do is first, before we get to any pretrial matters, I'm going to go ahead and swear the team members, the gallery, the scoring panelists, and the witnesses. And actually, according to this, it says, okay. And if you could, please go ahead and stand for your swearing in. And in the effort to maintain a level of professionalism, uphold the code of ethical conduct during and after these mock trial proceedings, you should stand for the swearing in, and I'll give you your oath. Okay. If you would, please go ahead and raise your right hand. And team members, please raise your right hands. Team members, do you promise that the presentation you are going to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Inside the courtroom, but if everybody could just jump on real quick and
Yes,
say
Your Honor.
yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And witnesses, do you promise that the testimony you're about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to your witness statements, that you will not add material facts or opinions which are not contained in the case problem, and that you will follow the rules and procedures of the mock trial during the trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your
Please
Honor.
say yes.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And gallery members, including teachers and attorneys, coaches, family members, and friends, if you would also please raise your right hands. Do you promise to represent yourself as positive role models and to behave in a during and after this mock trial round? If everybody would say yes.
I do.
Okay, I'm not hearing anybody say yes, but I'm not hearing anybody say no. So I'm assuming everybody agrees with that. It's a lot different trying to do it virtually than when we're all inside the same room. And scoring panelists, please raise your right hands. Do you promise to adjudicate the mock trial competition as fairly and objectively as possible in accordance with the facts, procedures, and rules of the mock trial competition?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. But thank you very much. And I believe it was the team V who had some pretrial issues.
Yes, Your Honor. First, we request permission to reserve any time not used in our closing argument for rebuttal.
Okay, that will be granted. Any others?
And second, Your Honor, there are stipulated facts that have been agreed to before the trial today. We request that these facts are constructively read into the record.
Okay. That will be granted as to stipulated facts, yes.
And third, we would just like to confirm with you and Team L the method we will be using to enter exhibits during the trial today. We intend to screen share the exhibit at the onset of the questioning of the witness, and we would then proceed with entering the exhibit. In this case, the jury would not constructively see the exhibit until Your Honor has formally admitted it into evidence. Would this be acceptable, Your Honor?
Team L, any issues with that?
Could you explain again how exactly this would work with the screen sharing?
Yes, I can do that. We would screen share the exhibit at the onset of the questioning of the witness, and then we would proceed with the steps to enter the exhibit. And then the jury would not constructively see the exhibit until Your Honor has admitted it.
Yes, that is acceptable.
And Team L, I should have asked you this before asking anything. Do you also have the ability to do that same thing also?
Yes, I
Okay.
have a copy of the online case on my computer.
Okay. Great. All right, so that will also be granted. The exhibits will be basically a screenshot and everything until the moment that they're admitted as or denied admission as an exhibit. So.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have no further housekeeping matters at this time.
Anything from Team L prior to starting the trial?
Yes, this is for my opposing counsel. Could you send your roster over again with your pronouns? I'm not seeing it in the chat.
Yes. Would it be possible for my timekeeper to go ahead and resend it? Okay, I see it now. Are you able to see it?
Yes, thank you. No housekeeping matters here.
All right, thank you. All right, well, we're getting ready. Unless there's anything else, we're going to get ready to start the trial. Now, openings. Each side is limited to 5 minutes on opening. Now, timekeepers, everything. My understanding is that you're going to put in the chat
Yes, Your Honor.
Somehow you're going to keep track of the time in the chat. Is that correct?
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right, thank you. So plaintiff's team V, you may begin your case.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, opposing counsel, and distinguished members of the jury. My name is Lydia Brisky, and my co-counsel and I represent Dakota Weirs, the plaintiff of the following case. Evidence will show we are all here today because Lush Fertilizer chose to prioritize profits over people. More specifically, my client, Miss Dakota Weirs. You see, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, all companies have a duty to protect their users and put ethics and safety over anything else. But Lush Fertilizer failed to do this. Witness testimony will show that Lush prioritized their earnings over the safety of their consumers, and this decision had consequences. Today, we will call 3 witnesses to the stand. First, Dakota Weirs will testify and share how before Lush came into her life, she was an active member of the community, part of her school's National Honor Society, student body president, and a piano prodigy with a bright future ahead at Juilliard, where she was offered a full ride scholarship. She will tell you how her summers were spent working at Haven Landscaping and spreading Lush Fertilizer. Little did she know this product would ruin her life completely. Dakota will share how she began to feel sick all of the time, and after countless doctor and hospital visits and a colossal amount of medical bills, she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She will share how her dreams and passions were stripped away and replaced with pain and severe bouts of depression. And she will share how this was all due to a chemical compound in Lush Fertilizer called Drufo. Next, Carson Durst, a former Lush employee, will testify and show you an email sent by Lush's Drufo product manager, which states that Lush's own labs identified Drufo as a potential carcinogen. She will then testify that Lush was actively choosing to hide the fact that their product could have caused cancer from their consumers, endangering the lives of each and every one of them. Finally, we will call Dr. Casey Rogers to the stand, a previous research analyst for a multinational chemical company and qualified expert in both agriculture and chemistry, who will share that Drufo is extremely carcinogenic. She will tell you after hearing the negative reports of this chemical compound, she took it into her own hands and conducted a study to investigate. Dr. Rogers will then state her conclusions, that people with prolonged exposure to Drufo were 10 times more likely to be diagnosed with cancer, and share how her study identified a direct link between Drufo and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The defense will then try to delude you into thinking Lush is completely innocent and frantically point fingers at anyone else. The opposing counsel will present to you Blake Doncourt, a divorcee with financial complications with their ex-spouse, driven to prioritize profits over people. Skylar Weirs, an uncredible expert witness who is testifying against their own twin Dakota. And Devin Williams, a person who admits to having severe financial bias in this case. Do not let them misguide you into thinking anyone else is to blame. Members of the jury, we as the plaintiff would like to remind you of the burden of proof we hold in today's case. The burden to prove by preponderance of the evidence that Lush was negligent. This means we have to prove it was more likely or not that the defendant is liable for its negligence, meaning they had a duty to protect their consumers from harm and failed to do this, prioritizing profits over people, and were the direct and proximate cause of my client, Dakota Weir's damages. A preponderance of the evidence is the lowest burden of proof in our judicial system, and we will meet this burden. Once we do, your verdict must be for the plaintiff, and my client, Dakota Weirs, must be awarded the maximum amount of non-economic damages allowed by law and proven at trial today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Team L, you may present an opening argument, opening statement if you wish, limited to 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today we are here to clear the name of the company Lush Fertilizer that makes safe products and has safer people. Dakota Weirs has a very tragic story. We are very concerned for Dakota and hope that Dakota beats cancer and lives a happy and healthy life. However, Lush is not to blame for this terrible disease. We have 3 witnesses that will show you without a doubt that Lush took every precaution and works in the best interest of our customers, the company, and the environment. Safe products, safer people. First, you will hear from the CEO and founder of Lush, Blake Doncourt. Blake is an entrepreneur, an advocate for the environment, even a recipient of the Champions of Earth Award in 2012. Blake will testify the lengths that the company goes through to put out a safe and effective product while donating a good portion of the company profits to decrease the world's nitrogen footprint. Safe products, safer people. Skylar Weirs, the plaintiff's own twin, will testify that JUFO has the potential to change the world of agri-tech that could help millions of people. Specifying that JUFO is safer than other pesticides, safe products, safer people. Dr. Devin Williams, a toxicology expert, professor, and an employee of Lush, will testify how JUFO works and refute the plaintiff's own expert on the safety and effectiveness of JUFO. The plaintiff's expert, Dr. Rogers, will give some information from a non-published or replicated study to try and convince you JUFO is carcinogenic. Carson Durst, a fired and vengeful ex-employee of Lush, will try to convince you that the company has gone through great lengths to hide that JUFO is dangerous, all while working with Lush's main competitor to release a product similar to JUFO. Lastly, Dakota Weirs, the plaintiff, will talk to you about their horrible disease. We pity Dakota and wish them nothing but a long, cancer-free life, but want them to understand it is not Lush that caused this. Safe products, safer people. We hope, after weighing the lack of evidence and gaps in testimony, you find that Lush Fertilizer is not at fault for Dakota's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Thank you.
Thank you. Team V, please go ahead and present your first witness. And you have, just a reminder, you have 25 minutes combined for your direct and redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. The plaintiff calls Ms. Dakota Weirs to the stand. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, and for the timekeeper, I did not see in the rules, but I was going to state that the time will start once the attorney asks the witness the question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Weirs. Could you please state your name and spell your last for the record?
Afternoon. My name is Dakota Weirs, Weirs.
And Ms. Weirs, why are you here today?
I'm here today since I'm suing Lush Fertilizer Incorporated for them giving me non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And could you tell the jury a little bit about how you were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma?
Well, just before I was set to leave for college, and I was going to go to Juilliard. And after several years of working in the landscaping industry, I noticed I started to feel sick all the time, and no one knew what was wrong with me. So after scores of hospital and doctor's visits and a large amount of medical bills, I was finally diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My life is all but over.
And how did you come into contact with Lush Fertilizer?
I have been working at Haven Landscaping since I was 14 years old. Due to my age, I was primarily responsible for spreading the seed and the fertilizer, one of those fertilizers being Lush.
And Ms. Weirs, how do you know for sure that you used Lush Fertilizer?
Well, I remember seeing the label multiple times, and after I found out that it was Lush that gave me my cancer, I had my boss send me a photo of it, which also confirmed I had used Lush.
And did you notice anything specific about that label?
Well, yes, I had noticed this label in particular didn't have any warnings like all the other products I had used, and which I found odd at the time, and especially now, considering that the product is so dangerous.
So, Ms. Weirs, what was it that first indicated to you that Lush Fertilizer caused your cancer?
Well, one day, after a pretty serious bout of depression, I was at home on the couch, like I always am now, when I was watching the news and saw a story about Lush fertilizer and their main ingredient, Drufo. Someone had leaked some documents stating that Lush lied about the safety of the products and knew that Drufo could cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Objection hearsay.
And response?
Yes, Your Honor. This statement is not hearsay because it is not being offered to prove the truth of the matter. It's simply being offered to show the effect that the statement had on Ms. Weirs. When she saw this news story, that is what led her to believe that Lush fertilizer caused her cancer, and that's why we're here today.
Response by Team L?
No response, Your Honor.
Okay, the objection will be overruled. You may answer the question.
So, Ms. Weirs, that news story seems to be pretty shocking. Was there anything else that indicated to you that Lush fertilizer caused your cancer?
Well, yes, another thing is I have a twin, Skylar, and growing up, Skylar and I participated in pretty identical activities. Non-Hodgkin lymphoma is indeed environmental, not genetic, and the only thing that set Skylar and I apart growing up was my landscaping job. So if I got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma through any other way, then Skylar should have it too.
That makes sense. Did you and your colleagues at Haven Landscaping wear any protective gear while working with the fertilizer?
It was never enforced, so not all the time. However, if I had known that Lush was going to give me this cancer, I probably would have never gone near it.
So, for example, if Lush had placed a label on its product that explicitly stated that the product could cause cancer, would you have done things differently?
Well, yes, of course. I would have worn protective clothing and covered my face. And again, I might not have ever even used it.
Ms. Weirs, could you tell us a little bit about the symptoms you experience from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma?
Some are rapid weight loss. I also have frequent chills and chest pains, often feeling fatigued.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Weirs. How would you say that this illness has affected your life?
In short, my life's been ruined. Prior to this illness, I was an active member of my community. I volunteered at the local homeless shelter. I was part of National Honor Society and was class president. I loved going to school and working hard and seeing my friends, and I can't enjoy anything really anymore.
Ms. Weirs, what do you think? What would you say has been the worst part of all of this?
The worst part in all of this is my piano. Piano is, or was, my life. With my ability, I even got a full ride scholarship to Juilliard, and I worked so hard for it. And it was my dream.
Can you still play piano?
No. Due to my illness, I again often feel fatigued, and my shortness of breath makes it really hard to sit down and play the piano. And even with my large lymph nodes, which are quite painful, sitting down playing even the shortest piece is impossible. Sitting in this chair today is hard.
So what are you going to do about the scholarship to Juilliard you mentioned earlier?
Unfortunately, I had to decline. With the current state I'm in, I don't know if I'll ever be able to play piano like I was used to be able to.
I'm so sorry, Ms. Weirs. Is there anything else you'd like to say about piano?
My grandfather had inspired me to play. Playing with him is my most favorite thing to do in the world. He unfortunately passed away a few years back. And what hurts the most in all of this is that I feel like I lost him a second time. I no longer get to sit there and pretend he's sitting there right beside me, playing with me.
Ms. Weirs, what do you think your future will look like?
Frankly, I have no idea what the future will hold. I don't know if I'm going to recover or continue to decline, and even my doctor is uncertain of what care I might need in the future. And frankly, I'm just scared.
To reiterate, why are you here today, Ms. Weirs?
I'm here today, ultimately, for the simple fact that I don't want this to happen to anyone else. Lush clearly didn't prioritize the safety of their customers, and I'm suffering the consequences of that choice, and other people will too.
Thank you, Ms. Weirs. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any cross-examination by Team L? And just to remind you that Team L, you have 20 minutes total for cross-examination and recross.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Weers. I want to start by talking to you about your work with Haven Landscaping. Your work involved spreading seed and fertilizer, correct?
Yes, that was due to my age. I wasn't really able to use the machinery.
Of course. So a lot of your work occurred outside?
A lot of it did, yes, but not all the time.
Okay. One of the reasons Haven was a good fit for you was because you loved being outdoors, correct?
Yeah, I enjoyed feeling the sun and the wind on my face, and I can't even enjoy that anymore.
Is that a yes?
That was a yes.
A lot of your work occurred during the summer, correct?
This is true.
And during the summer, it would get pretty hot, right?
Of course, sometimes it was unbearably hot.
It got so hot that you wouldn't wear a face covering when working with chemicals, right?
Only sometimes. And again, feeling.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, only sometimes.
Your boss had told you that you needed to cover your face when working with chemicals, correct?
It was never enforced, but he had mentioned it multiple times, yes.
Is that a yes?
That was a yes.
You just loved the feeling of the wind on your bare face, correct?
Back when I could enjoy it, yeah.
That's a yes.
Yes.
In addition to covering your face, you're supposed to always wear long sleeves when you work with fertilizers, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. You were also supposed to wear long pants when you worked with the fertilizer, correct?
That's also correct.
Okay. You're also supposed to wear gloves when you worked with the fertilizer, correct?
And I would have done all this if I known it was going to give me cancer.
Is that a yes?
That's also a yes.
But it was too hot to wear long sleeves, correct?
At times, that was sometimes the case, but I would have if I known I would have gotten cancer. I would have if I known I gotten cancer.
And it was too hot to wear gloves, correct?
At times, yes.
Instead, you wore shorts, correct?
Again, at times, yes.
You wore shorts despite knowing that you were supposed to wear pants, correct?
And not knowing I would have gotten cancer. That's correct.
Fertilizers come with warning labels, correct?
Most do, however, Luscious didn't.
Most fertilizers come with user safety recommendations, correct?
That is correct.
You worked with several fertilizers, correct?
Many of those including warning labels, but yes.
Those fertilizers told you to use protective clothing, correct?
Most often. Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Response?
Your Honor, Dakota has worked in the landscaping industry for, as she said, several years and would know very well the products that she has worked with and what they say on their labels.
And response?
Yes, Your Honor. The objection wasn't to any lack of knowledge by Dakota. It was to hearsay. The opposing counsel asked my witness about a statement made by the fertilizers, so it is hearsay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and overrule the objection, and you may answer the question.
Do you mind repeating the question for me?
Yes. The fertilizers you used contained user safety recommendations, correct?
as well as warning labels, yes.
User safety recommendations recommends you to use protective clothing that should cover exposed skin, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Best evidence.
Response?
May I reframe the question, Your Honor?
Yes, please. Okay, the objection
Thank you.
will be sustained.
It is It was a part of your job to follow reasonable care to protect yourself from these chemicals, correct?
I suppose so.
But the clothing you wore while working at Haven Landscaping was not taking reasonable care to protect yourself, correct?
I would have, if again I would known, I would get.
Is that a yes?
That was a yes.
Now, because you worked with so many different fertilizers, there could be no way to tell whether or not Lush fertilizer caused your non-Hodgkin lymphoma, correct?
Well, I personally fully believed it was Lush that caused it.
Can you confirm with any medical certainty that one fertilizer of the several you used caused your cancer?
I suppose not.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Is there any redirect by the plaintiff, Team V? And if so, before you begin with timekeepers, would you let Team V know how much time they have left?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I do have a brief redirect.
All right, and I just want to clarify, have you heard anything about how much time you have left?
Yes, it looks like our team's timekeeper put that in the chat.
Okay, all right, and timekeepers for Team V and VL, do you agree on the amount of time remaining?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I apologize for that. In the in-person courtrooms, everybody's right together so they can look at each other, but I apologize because we're on video.
Your Honor, should I proceed?
Go ahead, as long as you know how much time you have it on Team L. If they want to raise an objection to that amount of time, that's fine, but go ahead, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Weirs, why you said that you didn't always wear protective gear at your job. Why was that?
For the simple fact that sometimes it was too hot for it, but I often would try my best to, as well as this warning label in specific only mentioned eye irritation. It mentioned nothing about cancer or really any other illness.
And if you would have known that the product was going to give you cancer, what would you have done?
I probably would never have gone near it, but at the very least, at least cover my face and wear protective gear.
Thank you, Ms. Weirs. No further questions.
Thank you. Any recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Team V plaintiffs, please call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff calls to the stand Carson Durst. May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may proceed, please. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Durst. Could you please state your name and spell your last for the record?
Yes, my name is Carson Durst, Durst.
And Ms. Durst, what is your relationship with Blake Doncourt, the CEO of Lush Fertilizer, who is also the defendant in today's case?
Yes, Blake and I were like family. You see, as a kid, I was best friends with Blake's son, Charlie. So we went to soccer together. We hung out every day. And eventually we went to ASU together. And eventually I started working for Lush.
Great. So when did you first begin your employment with Lush?
Yes, I first began as an intern in the product research and development team back in June of 2003.
And while employed at Lush, what kind of roles did you take on?
Well, like I said, I first began as an intern, but after just 3 months, I was promoted to a position as the product development engineer.
And how did these roles you mentioned first lead you to work on the research surrounding Drufo?
Yeah, back in 2003, when I first started working at Lush, they were beginning to test the safety of Drufo and were compiling a report of their findings. My job as an intern was to research a particular compound that comprises Drufo.
And in your research, Ms. Durst, did you discover anything that stood out to you?
I did find this one study from England, which concluded that the chemical compound I researched was carcinogenic in rats. I recorded this finding in my lab notebook and sent it off to Jerry Langley, a rather high up manager at Lush, who I believe reviewed it. After that, it might have been compiled into a comprehensive report, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so after this initial research and potential report, do you know what happened next with Drufo?
Well, the following September, we received another series of emails explaining that the second study was being conducted on Drufo.
Okay, and do you know what the purpose was of this study?
It was related to the potential of Drufo being carcinogenic in humans. However, from my impression, the study was that management wanted to document our data in a way that supports a specific hypothesis.
Okay, Your Honor, permission to screen share, which has been previously marked as Exhibit 4.
Yes, has that been shown to the defense?
I believe that the defense should have a copy of this exhibit. Yes.
Okay, yes, please go ahead and screenshot.
Thank you. Ms. Durst, what is Exhibit 4?
Exhibit 4 is a printout I kept from one of those emails.
And how do you know this?
Well, I received the email directly.
Is it a fair and accurate representation?
Yes.
Your Honor, we move for the admission of Exhibit 4 into evidence.
Any objection by the defense?
No objection.
Okay, the exhibit will be admitted, and I apologize. Which exhibit number was it, or letter?
This is exhibit number 4.
4. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Durst, when did you initially receive this email?
In September of 2003.
And who sent you this email?
It came from Jerry Langley, who was a rather high up manager at Lush.
Ms. Durst, could you please refer to the first sentence of the second paragraph in the email and read aloud? And timekeeper, yes, if you'd zoom in, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Following our lab's June Drufo study, concerns have arisen regarding generalized findings of potential carcinogenic qualities identified in samples produced during a period early in the year.
Okay, my co-counsel may stop screen sharing the exhibit now. Thank you. So, Ms. Durst, what were your general observation of Jerry Langley and upper management's intent in these emails?
Yes, there definitely seemed to come a pressure for the studies to be read in a certain way. I would also like to say that there is an understanding that studies like these should be worded to allow for wiggle room in the case of a lawsuit. Regardless of the emails, I would just like to say that the company's agenda was certainly made clear during the weekly meetings.
Okay, so can you recount for us what took place in these meetings?
Well, in December of 2003, we were called in to present our findings on the second study. I remember one scientist mentioning her concern about Drufo being carcinogenic and specifically for non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Wow, and what was management's response to these concerns?
It seemed to me like this was a significant concern. However, towards the end of the meeting, Alex Monroe, an upper echelon manager, said something along the lines of, let's just keep it in the walls until we figure out what we were doing.
So did anything happen after this meeting?
About a month after the meeting, the new report hit my desk. It concluded that further analysis would be needed before making any conclusions about about lush fertilizers' long-term health effects, such as cancer.
Okay, and was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma mentioned specifically anywhere in this report?
No, non-Hodgkin lymphoma was not mentioned at all.
And in this report, were any other recommendations made around Drufo safety?
Yes, the report recommended for Lush to bake their fertilizer.
To your knowledge, Ms. Durst, does Lush bake its fertilizer?
No, unfortunately, they do not.
So, Ms. Durst, after all of this, did you continue your employment with Lush Fertilizer?
No, you see, after I attempted to raise my concerns around Drufo, Blake received complaints about my work performance, and eventually I started working at Terrace Greenery, where I'm currently the lead product developer. Like I've said, though, I'm not here to talk about all of that, rather my observations while working at Lush.
Right, so just to summarize for the jury, from these emails you received, the meetings you attended, and your overall time at Lush, what was the impression you were left with?
Yeah, well, you see, after being hired by Terrace Greenery, Lush decided to sue me. I mean, Blake ignored my concerns, but was now concerned about my expertise. I felt as though for a long time, Lush has been ignoring ethical concerns, prioritizing profits over their own people. Drufo was just the goose that laid the golden egg.
Thank you, Ms. Durst. No further questions.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may proceed.
You're currently employed at Terrace Greenery as the lead product developer, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Prior to working at Terrace Greenery, you were close friends with the Dunkirk family and worked at Lush Fertilizer, correct?
I would say that we were more like family at that point, but yes.
Since you were performing at a higher level while working with Lush, you should have noticed whether or not Drufo was dangerous, correct?
Objection. Your Honor, I believe this question calls for speculation.
Response, please.
This question is to prove whether or not. Could I have a minute to?
Yes, please.
Fine. Okay. May I proceed with my argument?
Was it your response to the objection or?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
So my apologies. She worked there for many years and got promoted a lot, right? Within those years, you should have gained a lot of knowledge and experience.
Okay, ma'am. Is that a response to the objection or a?
To the objection, I'm sorry.
Okay. And response by Team V.
Yes, Your Honor. I would actually broaden my objection to say that this question is outside of the scope of my witness. I believe that opposing counsel is asking my witness to testify as to what Lush could or could not have done, and Lush's specific thoughts around jobs that my client, or not my client, my apologies, my witness did not occupy, and asking to testify as to the intentions and thoughts of Lush as a corporation in regards to my witness's job, which falls outside of her statement and scope of expertise.
Okay, I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the witness to answer the question. And Team L, you may proceed.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Since you were performing at a higher level while working with us, you should have noticed whether or not your foot was dangerous, correct?
I mean, I was promoted one time, but after that, after I tried to raise my concerns, I was given the jobs that no one wanted. There was nothing I could do. My voice was silent at that point.
While working with Lush, you were having problems with the product manager, correct?
Are you talking about Jerry Langley?
I believe I'm talking about. Yes.
All right, then could you repeat the question?
While working with Lush, you were having problems with the product manager, correct?
Yes, Jerry Langley. I don't know even if she reviewed my lab notebook and she demoted me. Yeah, I had many problems with her.
When talking to Mr. Dunker about this conflict, he advised you to handle it yourself, correct?
Yes, he ignored my concerns, and it was unlike him because we were like family.
Instead of handling it yourself, you got upset, correct?
At the time, yes, as anyone would.
After you had gotten upset, you applied to Terrace Greenery, correct?
After I saw that I had no future with Lush, yes, I needed to move on and find a different job.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, just one question. Ms. Durst, did you do everything in your power to make sure that Lush was aware of your concerns?
Yes, as I said, I raised my concerns to Blake and Jerry Langley multiple times, only to be ignored.
Thank you, Ms. Durst. I have no further questions.
Okay. Any final recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May this witness be excused?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And plaintiffs, Team V, please call your next witness, if any.
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff calls Dr. Casey Rogers to the stand. Good afternoon, Dr. Casey Rogers. Would you please state your name and spell your last for the record?
Yes, my name is Dr. Casey Rogers. Rogers is spelled O-R-G-E-R-S.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Are you currently employed?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I am currently a professor in horticulture and entomology at UC Berkeley.
And did you receive a degree for this occupation?
Yes, I did. I have my PhD in horticulture and entomology from the University of California at Berkeley, and I also have my bachelor's in chemistry from CSU.
And do you have any prior work experience in these fields?
Yes, I do. Prior to becoming a professor and earning my PhD, I worked as a research analyst for a large multinational chemical company, and I had just the amazing opportunity to research environmental chemistry and the toxicology laboratory.
And have you published anything on these subjects?
Yes, I have. I have published numerous scholarly articles on fertilizers and the potential negative effects they may have on fertilizers such as Drufo.
And where has your writing been used?
It has been used in litigation before administrative boards before, and it has also been used to make recommendations to companies and regulatory agencies on what precautions should be taken by laborers who are exposed to these chemicals.
Your Honor, I offer Dr. Casey Rogers as an expert in agriculture, environmental chemistry, and toxicology, and the negative effects of prolonged exposure to chemicals such as Drufo, as her knowledge, skill, experience, and education have been shown, pursuant to Rule 702.
Any response by the defense?
I object to this, Your Honor.
Okay, and the nature, sir, and the nature of your objection, sir?
The nature of my objection, I object to the effects of chemicals on the body. Dr. Rogers studied toxic chemistry and agriculture in college. Therefore, they would not have the knowledge to talk about biology and medicine.
All right, and response?
Yes, Your Honor. Due to the rule of 702, only one thing needs to be shown in regards to entering them as an expert. And we previously showed that my witness has experience in researching and writing articles on the negative effects of prolonged exposure to Drufo or different chemicals. And this has been so effective that it's been used in litigation and to make recommendations to multiple companies.
All right. A person does not need to have a degree to be declared an expert. They can be declared an expert based on their experience, training, and other matters on their the plaintiff has established the training and qualifications of the doctor, and as per the pre-trial order, the previous witness, as long as those are laid out and everything, then any request to preclude an expert witness is denied, so that will once again be denied. You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Rogers, how did you get into Drufo?
Drufo immediately caught my attention when it was first released on the market. I mean, for many years after it was first released, I kept hearing reports on how it could be potentially negative and have negative effects to the body.
Right. So what did you do after hearing these reports that Drufo could have negative effects on the body?
Well, I wanted to study the chemical to determine if there were any side effects or negative effects, as it was already known that Drufo is carcinogenic in rats, which I learned from a study conducted in the UK. And so I decided, I mean, as a true scientist, I was going to do my own study to see if there were adverse effects to persons exposed to Drufo over a long period of time.
Of course. And so can you explain the study that you conducted to the jury?
Yes, of course. I put together 3 groups in order to study the effects of Drufo. So the first group I put together was exposed to Drufo on a regular basis, like maybe almost every day. The second group was exposed to Drufo on a somewhat regular basis, not as often, not every day, somewhat regular. And then the third group had never been exposed to Drufo. So these people had never come into contact with Drufo at all.
Right. So how frequently did you observe these experimental groups?
Well, I observed the groups over a period of years and monitored them for adverse health conditions and compared them to the control group, of which had never been exposed to Drufo.
And what were your findings?
Well, in this study, I found an increase in serious health issues and diagnoses in those individuals who were exposed to Drufo as compared to the control group. Specifically, the study found higher incidences of cancer, which includes non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Right. And did you have any other final conclusions from this study?
Yes. I found that people with prolonged exposure to Drufo were 10 times more likely to be diagnosed with cancer than those without exposure, also known as the control group, and 5 times more likely to be diagnosed with cancer than those with occasional exposure. And once again, I would like to emphasize that the group who was exposed to Drufo on a regular basis was 10 times more likely to develop cancer. Not 1 time, not 2 times, but 10 times more likely. And to me, that's just not a coincidence.
Exactly. So what kind of cancers were these people diagnosed with?
They were either diagnosed with endocrine or exocrine varieties, which includes non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
Can you explain to us what non-Hodgkin lymphoma is?
Non-Hodgkin lymphoma is a type of cancer in which the cancer will attack the body's lymph nodes. Yeah.
Right. So what are like the symptoms of non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
The symptoms of non-Hodgkin lymphoma can include weight loss, abdominal swelling, aches and pains, constant body fatigue, and really just overall a miserable feeling.
Right. So can this terrible disease ever be cured?
Unfortunately, it can never be cured.
And how does one develop non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
One can only develop non-Hodgkin lymphoma from outside environmental factors as it's not genetic. An example of an outside environmental factor would be someone breathing a substance in or some sort of substance coming into contact with the body.
And what kind of substances would lead to non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
Substances like a fertilizer.
And what do you think, my apologies, in your professional opinion, do you believe it was Drufo that led to Miss Dakota Weir's non-Hodgkin lymphoma?
Yes, I do, absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. No further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Dr. Rogers, I'd like to proceed with a couple questions for you. Just answer correct or not. Dr. Rogers, you went to CSU in Berkeley, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you studied agriculture and entomology there?
Horticulture and entomology and chemistry.
Horticulture and chemistry. But your bachelor was in agriculture and chemistry, right?
My bachelor was in chemistry, yes.
Okay. Your PhD then was in agriculture?
Horticulture and entomology.
Ah, okay. Now, let me see. Agriculture is the science practice of farming, including the cultivation of soil and growing of crops, right? And rearing of animals. While entomology is the study of insects, correct?
Yes, I would say so, but I don't understand why you're telling me the definition of agriculture.
Yeah, just yes or no, please. Now, your statement does not indicate that you studied any sort of medicine in college, correct?
No, I have no specific medical training.
No specific medical training. So your statement does not indicate that you studied biology in college either.
It does not.
It's not. Your statement doesn't indicate that you studied medicine as part of any of your graduate education either.
No, it does not.
So your statement doesn't reflect that you studied medicine and its effects on the human body at any time, correct?
Well, although I didn't necessarily study the effects of medicine on the human body, I did study the effects of chemicals on the human body.
Chemicals on the human body, okay. Now, you've indicated that you've published articles regarding Drufo, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. And 2 of those articles you published relating to Drufo were about weeds being resistant to Drufo, correct?
Correct.
Weeds being resistant. You also indicated that published articles on the harmful effects of prolonged exposure to various chemicals, including Drufo. That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Now, you haven't published anything relating to any other chemicals' harmful effects on prolonged exposures, correct?
Not in particular.
Not in particular. I've also seen that you haven't gotten any of your studies published in peer-reviewed journals. Is that correct?
I haven't yet, but they're so new. It takes a while for
So-
those things to happen.
Okay. And that'll be all for my questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly. Dr. Rogers, do you believe you have the qualifications to talk about the negative effects of Drufo on the human body?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Any recross?
No, sir.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
Plaintiff Team V, you may call your next witness, if any. Plaintiff, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Sorry for the delayed response. We have no further witnesses.
Okay, and do you rest?
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiff rests.
All right, so. Defense Team L, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call Blake Conker to the stand.
You may.
All right. And hello, Mr. Donkert. Can you please tell us how you related to this case?
Sir, would you please have your witness identify herself for the jury, Ms. Barney?
Hello, Your Honor. I'm Blake Duncourt.
Yes. All right. Now, Mr. Donkert, or Ms. Donkort, will you please tell us how you related to this case?
Yes, I'm the CEO of Lush Fertilizer.
And what is Lush Fertilizer?
Lush Fertilizer is one of the nation's largest, fertilizer for not only personal use, but also for corporational use.
Now, how long have you been working to grow this company of yours?
Well, it was founded in 2000, so a solid 21 years.
21 years. And can you tell us a little bit about any work you've done over the last 21 years?
Yes. Over these 21 years, I'm making reliable and environmentally friendly fertilizer that many can use. And over this time, I've also received many recognitions for my work as well.
Objection, Your Honor, improper character evidence. And I'm so sorry, I'm having some trouble hearing you, Ms. Doncourt. Your audio, I'm just having a bit of trouble having it come through.
Okay. And also I noticed that I'm not sure if somebody has a microphone on or something, but I'm hearing a lot of background noise on there. So, but anyway, response to the objection, please.
Sorry, can you?
Is there an objection? Is there a response to the objection?
Oh, yeah. Can you repeat the objection? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, of course. I objected improper character evidence in regards to Ms. Doncourt's statements regarding past environmentalism.
Will you please give me a moment to?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, it said I was muted on my screen. Will you please give me a moment to confer with my counsel?
Yes, please do.
All right, Your Honor, may I rephrase the question?
Yes, please do. The objection will be overruled. I mean, will be sustained. I mean,
Okay. Now, can you just describe to me some of the work that you've done with Lesh over the 21 years that you founded it? Can you describe to me some of the work you've done with Lesh over the period you founded it?
Some of the work done with for was making a fertilizer that works and is safe for everybody. Sorry, I've worked intensively with my team. They say for everybody to use. There's not going to be anything that could harm or even anything that could like just overall harm not only
Objection,
but
Your
the
Honor.
people.
okay, there's been an objection. Please go ahead.
Yes, I would like to re-raise my improper character evidence objection. Additionally, I'm so sorry, but I'm still having a lot of trouble hearing from opposing counsel, Ms. Doncourt.
Is that just me hearing the cutout there?
Your Honor, if I may, I can lend Ms. Doncourt my computer so the audio could be a little clearer if I am allowed to do so.
Ms. Garrett, I will allow that because I believe everybody's having trouble hearing Ms. Dunkert do that. But obviously, do it for compliance with the rules. Don't be together when testifying, so on like that. Okay.
Can I hear the objection again as well?
Yes, there was an objection that we're still dealing with. So, any response to the objection?
Sorry, it was during the kerfuffle we were having. Can I hear that objection again, please?
Yes, of course. I'm just re-raising my improper character evidence objection, as I don't believe the answer has been rephrased.
Response?
Okay, no response, sir.
Okay, that objection will be sustained. All right, you may continue, man.
Is everything ready for you, Ms. Doncourt?
We were stopped. Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Oh, are you ready to continue?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So in relation to your work, your environmental work, have you received any recognition in that regard?
Yes, of course. I was nominated for, I'm not really sure. I can't quite remember it, but all I know it was like for a global, like more environmental award. And
Your Honor, objection. I would like to re-raise my improper character evidence objection. I just don't believe that this answer has been rephrased. I'm happy to explain my objection further if that would be helpful.
That may be possibly be helpful. So please continue.
Yes, I'm objecting improper character evidence in regards to the fact that I believe opposing counsel is asking Ms. Doncourt to testify in a way that is to show that because she acted one way on a particular occasion, she acted in accordance on another occasion, particularly in regards to Ms. Doncourt's testimony surrounding her past environmentalism and past safety in her products. I believe it's being shown to act that being entered to show that she acted in accordance on another occasion.
A response?
My response to that is, if I point you to Mr. Doncourt's witness statement lines 17 through 18, you can see that they were awarded this environmental award that they were speaking of in, I believe it was 2019, 2020.
Your Honor, permission to respond?
Please let Tim finish.
My apologies. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Now, yeah, 2020. So that'd be right about now. So go ahead.
Okay, the court's heard enough on this and everything. I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the witness to answer. You may continue, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Now, what do you have to say about Ms. Dakota Ware's prognosis?
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Sorry. What would you have to say about Ms. Dakota Ware's prognosis?
First of all, I would want to wish her a speedy recovery. And although I know she has been in contact with the product, I believe that Lush Fertilizer has no connection for her diagnosis.
Diagnosis. Now, Mr. Doncourt, I'd like to get into the real meat and potatoes of this case, Drufo. Mr. Doncourt, what is Drufo?
Drufo is a bonding agent in our fertilizer that helps bond the fertilizer with the grass so it could act quicker and more efficiently.
Okay, all right. And what benefits does this provide?
Some of the benefits that Dunco has with our fertilizer is, first of all, you only have to apply it every once or even twice a year, but mostly once. As compared to other fertilizers, you have to keep putting it and replacing it so it could work efficiently.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask, were there any tests on the safety of the fertilizer containing Drufo?
Yes, of course. My team and I have made not only our own tests, so we know that it's safe for up to our standards, but we also did the test of the state and government to make sure it was safe and reliable for everyone.
Okay. And did any U.S. state body or government body object to Drufo being put out on the market?
No, they deemed it safe.
Okay. All right. And did anyone ever indicate to you that there was any issues with Drufo safety?
No, up to our test and the state's test, it was all deemed safe and there were no issues found.
Okay. Okay. So no employees at Drufo at Lush Fertilizer said anything about Drufo?
No.
I would like to point the witness to, in their witness statements, lines 36 through 63.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. I believe that the witness statement is still considered an out-of-court document and has not been.
A response?
Will you allow me one moment to confer with my counsel?
Yes, please go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like to respond. The witness statement in the jury instruction, it says it's a stipulated fact.
Right, and plaintiff, is that correct? Is this a stipulated fact?
So I believe that it is correct that it's a stipulated fact in regards to the affidavit's existence and the affidavit's truthfulness according to the witness. However, I do believe that according to the rules of evidence, affidavits are still considered out-of-court statements, and it's only stipulated in regards to their existence, not to their admissibility.
Okay, but there was no discussion about at the beginning about the extent of the stipulation, so I'm going to go ahead and allow the I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the questioning. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to point the witness to my 36 statement where they bring up Carson bring up these concerns after he was fired, after she was fired. Is that correct?
Yes.
So Carson is not currently employed with Lush, right?
No, he's not. No, she's not. I'm sorry.
Okay. And do you know where Carson is currently employed at?
Yes, he's working currently at my rival's company. After clearly we signed a contract that he would not, I mean, she would not work at a more rival company. Sorry.
Okay. And in relation to Lush's investigation of the safety of Drufo, at some point, were you made aware that baking Drufo would alleviate the potentially carcinogenic factors of Drufo?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
In relation to Lush's internal investigation with Drufo, were you aware that baking Drufo could alleviate the carcinogency of it?
No.
You were not made aware of that. I would like to point the witness to lines 105 in your witness statement where you were indeed aware that baking Drufo would alleviate that.
Oh, my apologies. I got mistaken. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. Now, why did you choose not to bake Drufo though?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Why did you choose not to bake Drufo?
Well, to be honest, my team and I didn't see a reason to bake it due to there was no risk, or so therefore we didn't need to bake it.
Okay. Now, let me ask you about Dr. Rogers' claims. So when did you become aware of Dr. Rogers' claims?
I became aware of Dr. Rogers' claims only after they stopped working for me.
Dr. Rogers, not Carson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I became aware of this during this allegation right now.
This litigation. Okay. And to your knowledge, was anyone at Lush Fertilizer aware of Dr. Rogers' claims prior to this litigation?
No.
No. And what is your understanding of the alleged protocol used by Dr. Rogers during the studies he did?
Could you repeat? I'm sorry.
What is your understanding of the alleged protocol used by Dr. Rogers during his studies or her studies? My apologies.
I'm sorry. Can you please give me a minute?
No worries.
Could you repeat it one last time?
One last time. What is your understanding of the alleged protocols used by Dr. Rogers during this study?
I wasn't really aware of them until now.
Now that you're aware of them, would you say any reliable protocols were used in Dr. Rogers' study?
I wouldn't know really if I could say it was reliable.
Okay. Now, would you have any concerns with Dr. Rogers' study on Drufo? And what are those concerns if you do?
My concerns. Could you ask that question again? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Do you have any concerns with Dr. Rogers' study?
Yes, I do have some concerns. I feel like I would want a bit more, like more evidence towards the claims so I can make sure that it's reliable and the information that she's claiming is all correct.
Okay, all right. Now, you've told us a little bit about your work. Can you tell us about Lush as a company's objectives?
My company's objective, Lush Fertilizer, is really honestly just to make a fertilizer that is safe and reliable and is good for not only the environment, but for the people my users that are going to use it.
And how have you furthered these objectives?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
How have you furthered these objectives?
I furthered these objectives by making sure that what I want my product to have, it's accomplished in a safe way, of course.
Okay. And what is Lush Fertilizer's motivation in creating Drupal?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What was Lush Fertilizer's motivation in creating Drupal?
Lush's motivation to make this was honestly kind of like portraying the American dream of having the amazing green grass that everybody wishes they could, also in a really safe and environmentally friendly way. We wouldn't want anyone or the environment to get harmed.
All right, and no further questions.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Permission to proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Doncourt.
Good afternoon.
You were formerly married to Morgan Doncourt, correct?
Yes.
And you are now in the process of a rather contentious divorce?
Yes.
And in your statement, you refer to Morgan as a gold digger?
I'm sorry, I don't recall that.
Okay, I can move on. So a judge has now ordered you to pay your ex-spouse a significant amount of money each month, correct?
Yes.
And you were also responsible for paying the investors who provided seed funds for your company. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you would say that you have a considerable amount of financial pressures?
Yes.
Ms. Doncourt, are you aware of a process called baking?
Yes.
And you are aware that baking your fertilizer would be the only way to guarantee that it is not carcinogenic?
Yes, but I didn't see no need for it to be baked to not having any concerns towards my product.
You heard Carson Durst testify in court today, correct?
Yes.
And you heard her testify that in the report compiled by your own scientists, they recommend baking your fertilizer.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part?
You heard Carson Durst testify that in the report compiled by your own scientists, they recommend baking your fertilizer.
I'm sorry, I don't really recall.
Okay, so isn't it true that by not baking your fertilizer, you would increase your profits by 6% in the first year and by an additional 2% per year after that?
Although it's true, that was not my goal at all, to increase my
Okay,
profit.
but Ms. Doncourt, you needed these earnings to pay back the investors who provided your company with seed funds?
Yes, but I could have made that without needing the profits from not baking.
Ms. Doncourt, is it your statement that without this extra 6% and extra 2%, you would be able to pay back the investors who provided your company with seed funds?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Is it your statement here that you did not need this extra 6% per year and 2% per year after that to pay back the investors who provide your company with seed funds?
Although it was needed, that was not my goal.
Right. So you also needed this extra income to pay your ex-spouse.
Yes.
So you chose not to bake your fertilizer because you would otherwise not be able to meet your other financial responsibilities?
No.
Once again, Ms. Doncourt, is it your statement here today that you did not need this extra income to meet your financial responsibilities?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Doncourt, you signed an affidavit in today's case, correct?
Yes.
And you signed this affidavit under oath and under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, if my opposing counsel could please screen share Ms. Doncourt's affidavit. Okay, if you just give me one moment to find the line number. Timekeeper, if you could go to page 33. And beginning at line 106, Ms. Doncourt, would you read along with me?
Yes.
It showed that we could increase our profits by 6% in the first year and by an additional 2% per year thereafter if Lush does not bake the fertilizer. Lush needed these earnings to pay the vulture capitalist who provided our company with seed funds. Did I read that correctly, Ms. Doncourt?
Yes.
Okay, timekeeper, you may stop screen sharing. So moving on, just to reiterate for the jury, Ms. Doncourt, you say in your statement that baking your fertilizer would be too costly for the little risk it would eliminate.
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I didn't really hear you.
You say in your statement that baking your fertilizer would be too costly for the little risk it would eliminate.
No. Although I did say that our profits would increase.
Ms. Doncourt, is it your statement here today that you do not say that baking your fertilizer would be too costly for the little risk it would eliminate?
I'm sorry?
You do not say in your statement that baking your fertilizer would be too costly for the little risk it would eliminate?
Yes, I did say that.
And that little risk is ensuring that your customers are not potentially exposed to carcinogens?
I'm sorry?
So this little risk that you mention is ensuring that your customers are not exposed to potential carcinogens.
Yes.
However, you did allocate 10% of Lush's profits to charities, is that right?
That's correct.
So donating to charities and paying your ex-spouse was in the budget, but eliminating carcinogens from your product wasn't?
If you put it that way, then yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Your Honor, may I make a response?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. Yes, please respond.
Yes, of course. Ms. Doncourt, I'd like to ask about something you said as well. So you said in your witness statement, the EPA never required you to
Objection, Your Honor. I believe that opposing counsel is asking questions that are outside of the scope of my cross, and a redirect must stay within the scope of the cross-examination.
A response?
Let's see. No response, Your Honor.
Okay, the objection will be sustained. All right, you may continue.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Now, as to the carcinogenicity of your product, right? It was said by the EPA that you were allowed to put this on the market.
Objection, Your Honor. Once again, I believe that opposing counsel is asking questions outside the scope of my cross-examination.
Your Honor.
A response?
Yes. I believe your cross-examination was talking about the carcinogenicity of the product, talking about the money of it. I'd like to respond to that further.
Permission to respond, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, my objection isn't with discussing the carcinogenic properties of Drufo, but rather with the EPA's regulations and potential warning labels, as that was not included within the scope of my cross.
Okay. The objection will be sustained. The defense, if you wish, you can delve into that area on your redirect.
Jump to another area. Just no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
I have no recross, Your Honor.
Okay. That's why I was asking if the defense had any redirect. So.
No.
All right. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor, on my part.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Team L, please call your next witness.
the defense is getting Ms. Garrett's computer from the witness.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Your Honor, the defense calls Skylar Weirs to the stand.
And you may proceed when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the court and spell your last name for the jury, please?
Good afternoon. I am Skylar Weirs, and Weirs.
And how do you know the plaintiff, Dakota Weirs?
Dakota is my twin.
Before we talk about your twin, I want to start by talking with you about yourself. How are you employed?
I am a journalist.
Okay. And how long have you been in the field of investigative journalism?
For about 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Who do you write for?
I write for Rationalist.
What kind of publication is Rationalist magazine?
It is a scientific. Sorry. Can you re-say that again? Sorry.
What type of magazine is Rationalist?
It is a scientific. It is. Oops.
You said
Sorry.
it was scientific?
Yes.
And how has your work as an investigative journalist focused on any specific areas?
It focuses on individual health and Gravitech.
Tell the jury about your work relating to individual health and corporate policy.
Well, I do research about that, and then it's like you.
So you perform a lot of research.
Yes, and readings.
Is there a specific product developed in the agritech industry that your work has focused on?
Can you restate that?
Is there a specific product that your work has been focused on?
Drufo.
Let's talk about the extensive work that you put into educating yourself and obtaining information for your articles. What kind of effort went into the preparation of the Drufo article series on modern agritech?
I'm sorry, can you restate that? My computer's lagging.
What kind of effort went into the preparation of the Drufo article?
Well, I did a year's worth of research and studies.
And thank you. What types of material were you reading and researching for almost a year?
Well, it was about fertilizers.
Okay. And where did you get your information?
Can you restate it, please?
Where did you get your information?
From all my research and studies I've done over DRUFO over time.
Okay. Did your research go beyond the materials published by agritech companies and studies cited in the publications?
Can you restate the last part?
And the studies cited in their publications?
Yes.
What other sources did you reference in conducting your research? Mr. Wares? Your Honor, I believe my client is having technical difficulties.
It very well can be. Now, is he in the same location? It looks like you're in the library. Is he in the same location and could possibly use somebody else's computer?
No, he is at home. He is not with us.
Okay, yeah. Do you have another witness that we can go to and get back to this witness? Should he be able to get his connection going?
Yes, Your Honor. While my co-counsel is presenting their witness, I will contact mine and figure out what's going on.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I apologize for us deviating from the script this way as to the presentation of your witnesses and everything, but with the issues we've been seeing, I think unfortunately it's necessary that we have to deviate. So now thank you for your cooperation.
Of course.
All right, so defense, I know you may need a minute or two to get ready, but whenever you're ready, please call your next witness.
Your Honor, I'd like to call Dr. Devin Williams to the stand.
Please do, and you may start whenever you're ready.
Hello, if you could please state your full name for the court.
Devin Williams.
Welcome. Now getting started, I'd like to ask you about your educational background.
My education was completed at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, and my undergrad through a PhD was also completed at the Colorado State University. I did a specialized post-PhD program in pharmacotoxicology at the University of Utah. I also hold a Bachelor's of Science in Toxicology, which was completed at the University of Utah as well. I also hold various accreditations that are listed on my CV, as well as certifications in the state of Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Utah.
Your Honor, I move that Exhibit 9 be admitted into evidence.
All right, has you shown this exhibit to the opposing counsel? Or is it in the
I could have our timekeeper share Exhibit 9 to the council.
well, if it's inside, is this an exhibit that's in the packet that was available to everybody?
Yes, it should be.
Okay, then the defense should have it. I'm sorry, the plaintiff should have it. Plaintiff, do you have this Exhibit 9?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then yes, please go ahead.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Dr. Williams, what is Exhibit 9?
Exhibit 9 holds all of my schooling and all the things that I have studied and the things that I'm specialized in.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to tender Dr. Devin Williams as an expert in pharmacology and toxicology, forensic toxicology specialization, and toxicology.
Anything from the plaintiff? Any response?
I don't think I have an objection. Could you just repeat all of those expert areas just one more time?
Yes, pharmacology and toxicology, excuse me. Pharmacology and toxicology, forensic toxicology, and toxicology.
Yes, no objection, Your Honor.
Dr. Williams will be admitted as such. You may proceed.
Dr. Williams, what is your line of work with Lush Fertilizer?
I started off with Lush a decade ago and have led the toxicology research and development labs for the past 7 years.
How has your work evolved through working with Lush?
Through my training and experience, I understand how to research and evaluate test results to determine the fate and effect of potentially toxic chemical agents by using biomolecular and biochemical markers.
And what does that actually mean?
It essentially means that I know how to tell if a substance is going to harm the average human and how to mild it in case it happens.
I would now like to transition to talking about the case. How are you connected to this case?
I did the science to see whether or not Truffaut caused the cancer.
What is your opinion on whether or not Truffaut caused Dakota Weir's cancer?
No, Truffaut did not cause Dakota Weir's cancer.
And why is that?
The reason for this is because the use of Truffaut has not been correlated with a statistically significant increase of the incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or any other cancer in that matter.
Now, you stated that you were confident the cancer was not caused by Truffaut. How did you come to this conclusion?
Well, we can look at the incident rate of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in groups of people who have used fertilizers with Truffaut and compare that to the incident rate of people who use different types of fertilizers. For example, let's look at farm laborers and gardeners. They're exposed to a number of different products and environmental conditions that people who not use those don't encounter. Pesticides, plant foods, and on. Different lifestyles mean different environments, and different environments mean different environmental exposures.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. You lead the research labs at Lush Fertilizer, correct?
Yes.
And you've been working at Lush for roughly a decade?
Correct.
So you admit that you have a pretty significant financial bias in the outcome of today's case?
That is correct.
Now, Ms. Williams, you have experience analyzing chemicals to identify toxins.
Correct.
And you would agree that analyzing chemicals is a pretty complex process.
That is correct.
This process takes a lot of focus.
Correct.
And it takes a lot of time.
Correct.
But Ms. Williams, when you started working at Lush, half of the original Truffaut development team had already left the company.
That is correct.
So isn't it true that scientists were coming and going at various stages during the analysis of Truffaut?
Correct.
You said that the chaos of this turnover began to impact testing timeliness.
That is correct.
And that is why you were hired.
Correct.
So Lush actually made changes to its workforce when tests were not being done quickly enough.
Correct.
Because testing timeliness is very important to Lush, isn't it?
Correct.
You said in your statement that Blake Doncourt hired you to keep Lush's Drupal products cost effective. Is that right?
That is correct.
Being cost effective was also very important to Lush.
Correct.
Ms. Williams, you mentioned nothing in your statement about really ensuring that Lush fertilizer was safe for human use, did you?
Correct.
The word safe was not in your statement.
I don't recall. Correct.
Even though you are the head of the research labs.
Correct. We were focusing on the environment.
Ms. Williams, you failed to reference any specific studies conducted by your lab about the safety of Drufo.
Can you repeat that question, please?
In your statement, you failed to reference any specific studies conducted by your lab that examined the safety of Drufo.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, Ms. Williams, the only specific study that you referenced was the one done by Dr. Casey Rogers, who testified earlier.
Correct.
And now let's go back. You testified just a couple minutes ago that Drufo was environmentally friendly, yes?
That is correct.
Because you claim that Drufo helps reduce nitrate pollution in the environment.
Correct.
Yet studies conducted by the European Union showed that Drufo led to a significant amount of nitrate accumulation.
Correct.
And that's why the entire EU banned Drufo.
Correct.
So Drufo is actually harmful to the environment.
Correct.
It's not only unsafe, but it's harmful to the environment.
Well, correct. Essentially breaking down most of the buildup.
So you just testified that Drufo is not safe.
Correct.
Ms. Williams, you said in your statement that Lush Fertilizer Incorporated often asks you to postulate as to broader outcomes that can actually be supported by your data.
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes.
All right. Defense, do you have any other witnesses other than the gentleman we're trying to get back online?
Your Honor, the last I heard from my witness was that they were trying to get back in. And
All right.
I don't think that they are in.
Okay, we'll give it a little bit longer because I want you to be able to proceed with your witness. I'm not saying to do this, but just as a possible consideration, if there's somebody else on your team who has already testified, if they could take over as the witness, I would allow that. It's not the best thing, I will admit, and everything. It's definitely not the best thing, but if you ever do that, I would allow that if we're not able to get the original witness back.
Yes, Your Honor.
But normally breaks are not allowed during these trials. However, this is a bit out of the ordinary. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take let's go for a 10-minute break and everything, and everybody be back about 3:40, and we'll see if we're able to proceed at that time. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, and I apologize to everybody. This is definitely out of the ordinary, but my goal is to make sure that the team's able to present the witnesses as they had planned.
Your Honor, my witness has made it back in. Can you mute that?
It's good. I see that you're back, Earl. Is the all the parties back on the inside the video court?
Yes, my witness has returned.
Oh, okay. So we're ready to proceed with your witness now? Is that correct, what I'm hearing?
Yes, that is true.
Okay, great. And
Right, sorry.
and the plaintiffs, are you all back inside the video court, ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. So please go ahead and proceed.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Are the scoring panelists back?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right.
And, oh, 1 second. Oh, okay, great. That's the third one. Okay, so I assume that everybody is back, and so I'm so happy to hear this. So we can continue. Please go ahead and proceed.
All right, Your Honor. The defense once again calls Mr. Skylar Weirs to the stand.
And
And Your Honor, is it all
ready.
right? All right,
Oh, go
perfect.
ahead.
Is it all right to proceed where we left off rather than starting the examination over again for sake of time?
That makes sense, yes.
Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Weirs, if you recall, we were discussing your research on the articles that you made for your magazine Rationalist. Do you recall where we left off? Perfect. Now, what efforts did you take to follow up on publications issued by agri-tech companies?
Well, I did 1 year's worth of research and found that they had. Well, I did 1 year's worth of research. And
what other sources did you reference in conducting your research?
well, I found various articles about agricultures and I found and reviewed various agricultures.
And what type of information did you obtain from the sources you spent almost a year reading and researching?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
What type of information did you obtain from the sources you spent almost a year reading and researching?
Well, they were all references based on agricultures that they have.
Your Honor, at this time, I tender this witness as an expert in the field of agri-tech.
Any response?
No, Your Honor, no objection. I'll address the inconsistencies of this witness' expertise on cross.
The witness is admitted as an expert in those fields. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, let's talk about general pesticides and fertilizer compared to Truffaut. Tell the jurors about the function of pesticides and fertilizers.
Well, pesticides are meant to kill useless organisms that are not used.
Okay.
Such as fungi, bacteria, and insects.
Okay. And what poisons in particular are contained in most pesticides?
Well, can you refresh that?
What poisons in particular are contained in most pesticides?
Well, most of them contain phosphorus, potassium. Sorry.
Would you like me to rephrase my question, Mr. Weirs?
Yes, please.
For example, on the poisons, does it contain, for example, carcinogens or arsenic?
Yes, some contain glyphosate. That is a possible carcinogen.
Okay. Is this the same for grass seed grass seed products like fertilizer?
For most.
Okay. Describe to the jury the process of treating grass with these products.
Can you rephrase it? Sorry.
Could you describe the process of the way that grass seed products function?
Well, it provides nitrogen to the soil, which makes it less likely to be contaminated, and it helps with less hunger.
Is this the same for all grass seed products?
No.
Your Honor, I believe our time is up.
Team V, I don't know if this is allowed, but Team V would allow the co-counsel to finish their direct so long as it doesn't go on for an excessive amount of time.
That's very generous of you. I will go ahead and allow that for an additional 5 minutes. Ms. Garrett, please make sure you're within that time period, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I want to move on by I want to talk about Drufo. You indicated your work as an investigative journalist included investigating Drufo. What is Drufo?
Well, Drufo is an effective bonding agent.
Okay. And did you write about Drufo as a part of your agritech series?
Yes.
Okay. Now, from the extensive research that you conducted on Drufo, could you tell the court the intended purpose of Drufo?
Well, Drufo was meant to stop the spread of contaminated water.
Okay. And how does the water get contaminated?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, or refresh it?
Drufo is meant to stop this, groundwater wells from getting contaminated. How do these groundwaters and wells get contaminated in the first place?
They get contaminated from pesticide or glyphosate or arsenic.
Okay. How exactly does Drufo work?
Well, like I said, it is a bonding agent. It will, unlike fertilizer, well, it isn't fertilizer, but it will stop pesticides, insects, and all that from coming in. And yeah.
Okay. And how does this increase the efficiency of lush fertilizer?
Well, unlike other fertilizers, we have to put them 5 to 6 times a year. You only have to do 2 times a year.
Okay. And what makes Drufo a safer product than its competitors?
Can you refresh that?
What makes Drufo a safer product than its competitors?
Sorry, it's because I didn't get that.
Previously, you mentioned that Drufo does not need to be applied as often as other fertilizers.
Yes.
Okay. Would this essentially mean that the less that a fertilizer needs to be applied, the less likely it is to run off and contaminate water?
Yes.
Okay.
DUFO is meant to stop the contamination of water.
From your research, did you find any studies that show a causal link between cancer and DUFO?
Well, on research on what the DUFO causes cancer, like non-Hodgkin lymphoma, it is conclusive as best.
Did you mean inconclusive?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any recross?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Weirs. Nowhere in your statement do you say you have a degree in medicine, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
You also don't have a degree in toxicology, right?
Right.
In fact, you don't even hold a college degree, correct?
I do not, but I have no streets.
Right. You and your twin Dakota have never had the stereotypically close twin relationship, yes?
Yeah, ever since he got that job at.
Some people have even suggested you're testifying for Lush today because you want to undermine Dakota. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your writing generates your income, correct?
Yeah.
You're a freelance writer, right?
Can you say it again? Sorry.
You're a freelance writer.
Yeah.
Yet your articles have hardly been lucrative. Is that correct?
So I would say
You would say your articles have hardly been lucrative, right?
right.
And you've also always liked to gamble, isn't that true?
Yes.
And this gambling has gotten so extreme that it's put you in a hole you haven't been able to climb back out of yet, right?
Right, but I'm trying to reach the end.
Right, and your parents are or were helping you on the side financially, correct?
Correct.
This was until your dad cut you off, right?
Yes, he did.
But your dad didn't cut off Dakota, did he?
No.
In fact, he agreed to shoulder the cost of Dakota's medical bills in the event that this lawsuit isn't successful, correct?
Yes.
And would you say when your gambling got so extreme, you were in a time of need?
Yeah, for the most part.
And your dad cut you off in this time of need, but is willing to pay for your sister. Is that correct? Is that a yes? Sorry, I just didn't hear you.
Yes.
And you would never claim that there are no risks from modern agricultural products, correct?
Can you re-say that? I'm sorry.
Yes, you say that you would never claim there are no risks from any modern agricultural product, correct?
Correct.
And every commercial pesticide and fertilizer has several well-known carcinogens.
Some of them, yes.
Right. In fact, you even go so far as to say no chemical fertilizer will ever truly be safe, correct?
That's correct.
And Lush is a chemical fertilizer, right?
Yes, but we test.
Thank you. No further questions.
May this witness be excused? Oh, I'm sorry. Plaintiffs, do you have any redirect? I'm sorry.
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Team L, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. The evidentiary portion of this trial has been completed. So now is the opportunity for both sides. If you choose to, you can give closing arguments. They are limited to 5 minutes. For the plaintiff, it's 5 minutes for your closing argument and a rebuttal closing argument. And for the defense, it's 5 minutes for your closing argument. Team V, do you wish to give a closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed anytime you're ready.
Thank you. Lush Fertilizer chose profits over people, and this decision had consequences. Lush Fertilizer had a duty to exercise reasonable care to protect their consumers from harm. They have failed this duty. The defendant's actions were the direct and proximate cause of my client, Dakota Weir's damages, and they are therefore liable for negligence in today's case. Members of the jury, my co-counsel and I had the burden to prove by preponderance of the evidence each element of negligence. This means that we had to prove that it is more likely than not that Lush is liable for its negligence. This is the lowest burden of proof in our judicial system, and we have met this burden. The defendant has asserted an affirmative defense of contributory negligence. In order to reduce the damages awarded to the plaintiff, opposing counsel must prove each element of the affirmative defense by a preponderance of the evidence. They have failed to prove any of these elements. Dakota Weirs used to be an active member of her community. More than anything, Dakota loved to play the piano. Just before she was set to leave for Juilliard to pursue her lifelong dream of becoming a professional musician, Dakota began to feel sick all the time. After countless hospital visits and costly medical bills, Dakota was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The evidence today showed that Dakota's illness was caused by Lush Fertilizer, which contains a carcinogenic chemical called Drufo. Dakota was exposed to this product through her work as a landscaping technician. And little did she know at the time, but this product would come to ruin her life. Opposing counsel has tried to tell you that this is all somehow Dakota's fault, saying that she didn't wear the proper clothing. Yet Dakota herself said that if she had known that Lush Fertilizer was carcinogenic, she wouldn't have gone anywhere near the product. My co-counsel and I called expert witness Dr. Casey Rogers to the stand. She testified that her study concluded that those exposed to Drufo were 10 times more likely to be diagnosed with cancer. Even Lush's lead researcher, Dr. Devin Williams, testified that Drufo is unsafe. Let me say that again. Lush's own scientist, who is here in defense of Lush, believes that Drufo is unsafe. Lush Fertilizer ignored these claims because they needed to profit, even if that meant putting profits over people. Carson Durst, a former employee of Lush, told us how Lush hid data that identified Drufo as a carcinogen and proceeded to put Drufo products on the market, jeopardizing the lives of each one of its customers. Once again, Lush chose profits over people. Members of the jury, not only did Lush know that Drufo was carcinogenic, Lush knew exactly how to make Drufo safe. Baking the fertilizer would have removed any carcinogens from the product. Lush's CEO, Blake Doncourt, admitted that Lush did not bake any of its products, saying that it was just too expensive for the little risk it eliminated. Members of the jury, is cancer a small risk? So, why did Lush need to cut costs? Blake Doncourt testified about the pressure she faced to pay back Lush's investors. She also spoke about her recent divorce and how she is now required to pay her ex-partner large sums of money each month. Removing carcinogens from its products just wasn't in the budget for Lush or Ms. Doncourt. Once again, Lush chose profits over people. Lush released a dangerous product, therefore endangering people's lives. Members of the jury, we have met our burden of proof today by proving all of the elements of negligence. We ask the jury to return a verdict in favor of Ms. Dakota Weirs and to award damages in the maximum amount allowed by law. Thank you.
Thank you. And defense, any closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you may begin anytime you're ready.
Lush Fertilizer, safe products, safer people. Lush Fertilizer is a company that truly cares about the integrity of their products and are conscious of the impacts they have on people's lives and the environment. Because of Lush's success and revolutionary products, they have become the target of smear campaigns and attempts at cash grabs. Now, we have heard from Dakota Weirs, whose life was tragically turned upside down with their diagnosis. Lush Fertilizer is truly sympathetic to her condition, but the blame cannot be placed on the product. Dakota was exposed to countless lawn chemicals throughout their time at Haven Landscaping and did not follow reasonable care with wearing proper protective gear, such as N95 masks, long sleeve shirts, long pants, and gloves, as per the user safety recommendations included on all lawn chemical packaging. Carson Durst, a former employee of Lush Fertilizer, ended things with the company on very unfriendly terms, going as far as a lawsuit when Durst went to Lush Fertilizer's competitor after signing a non-compete agreement at the beginning of his career at Lush. Durst now is using his experience and trade secrets at Lush to develop a new product with Terra's Greenery, all while smearing the product he helped create. Casey Rogers claims to have conducted a study, but the first time CEO of Lush, Blake Doncourt, even heard of the study was during this trial's litigation. His study was also never posted in a valid scientific journal. Additionally, Casey Rogers is not qualified to discuss causation. They are not a medical doctor. How could they give an opinion stating there is a medical probability that Drufo is linked to cancer with any degree of certainty? Throughout this case, we have also heard from defense's Blake Doncourt, Lush Fertilizer's beloved chief executive producer, who worked tirelessly to ensure their bonding agent Drufo was safe, effective, and efficient. Blake Doncourt ordered many studies on Drufo and concluded that Drufo did not contain a single chemical compound that was carcinogenic to humans. We've also heard from Skylar Wares, a hardworking and dedicated investigative journalist. Skylar spent over a year studying and researching the impacts of modern agriculture and found that Lush Fertilizer is not only revolutionary in efficiency, its groundbreaking products are one of the safest on the market. Additionally, Dr. Devin Williams, an experienced and highly respected toxicologist at Lush Fertilizer, prioritizes safety above all else and works hard to ensure only the highest quality of products. Lush Fertilizer took every precaution possible, explored every angle, and overcame every obstacle to create a product that was environmentally friendly and one of the highest quality, safety, and efficiency. Now, jury instruction number 8 states a form of comparative fault is the negligence, if any, on the plaintiff. Such comparative fault is an affirmative defense that is proved if you find both of the following by preponderance of the evidence. 1, the plaintiff, Dakota Wares, failed to do something that reasonably careful people would do under the same or similar circumstances to protect themselves from the claimed danger created by the product. And 2, that conduct by the plaintiff was a cause of the plaintiff's claimed injuries, damages, and losses. Members of the jury, there is substantial evidence that proves Dakota Wares failed to follow reasonable care, such as protective clothing, masks, and gear while being exposed to chemicals, which is something that reasonably careful people would do under the same or similar circumstances to protect themselves. Given this, we ask you to find, by preponderance of the evidence, Lush Fertilizer not liable for Dakota Wares' illness. Thank you.
And thank you. Any rebuttal closing from the plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor. Before I begin, could I get a quick time check from my timekeeper?
You have 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Perfect, thank you. May I proceed?
Proceed whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Throughout today's trial, you heard opposing counsel claim that Lush Fertilizer had safe products and safer people. This is simply not the case. Dr. Casey Rogers testified that her study found that those exposed to Drufo were 10 times more likely to be diagnosed with cancer. Members of the jury, would you call that a safe product? Dakota Wares testified about the physical and emotional damage that she has suffered at the hands of Lush Fertilizer. Even now, her life hangs in the balance. Members of the jury, would you call that a safe person? Opposing counsel has attempted to provide rhetoric painting Lush as a safe, ethical company, but they have failed. Let me put it simply. Lush Fertilizer makes dangerous products that endanger lives. I urge you to return a verdict in favor of Ms. Dakota Wares and to award damages in the maximum amount allowed by law. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends the, let me go back on video. That ends this case. Now it's the opportunity for the scorekeepers to the panelists. Please go ahead and complete your score sheets. Take however long you want. I'm not sure how they're done on the in this age of Zoom course and everything. So I won't be able to see when you're done and everything. So if you would Take your time, and when you're done, if you could please just go ahead and chime in and let me know. And after everybody is done, we will. And team members, if you're free to mingle with each other and discuss with each other if you're in the same room. Thank you.
Once we're done, you just want to submit them, or do you want to do anything with them, or how do you want to proceed?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the full question at the beginning.
Once we complete with the scoring, do you just want us to submit them?
Yes, I assume that's what they want you to do is go ahead and just submit them. It looks like we may have one of the bosses around here, so.
Yes, go ahead and submit them once you have finished, and that way you guys can go ahead and give your review to all the students that participated. So once all the scoring panelists are done, click submit, and then you guys can move on.
Great, thank you. And that's after the scoring is completed, that's when all of us have the opportunity to speak to the students and discuss, constructive criticism or praise them or whatever the case may be, and introduce ourselves.
All right, we have received all the score sheets, so if the scoring panelists would like to give their feedback to the students, go ahead and do so now.
Fantastic. Yeah, panelists, one at a time, if you'd like to speak to the students and give your feedback, I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Okay, I guess I will go first. First of all, thank you everyone for a great round, for all of the preparation that you've done, for how well you did in rolling with the technical difficulties. This is exactly how things work in real life, and I thought you were all pretty unflappable. So great round. In particular, it was kind of difficult to figure out my effective vote for outstanding counsel among the plaintiff's team. It's hard picking between open and close, hard picking the 10 on direct, hard picking the 10 on cross. So exceptional job, everybody, but in particular, that was tough.
Thank you. Next up, panelists, if you wish.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say you all did a great job, and I really appreciate your effort and more so your professionalism with one another. And I just would like to second what my previous panelists said, that great job with rolling with the challenges that come up spontaneously. That is very much what happens in court. So I think you all handled it beautifully, and each and every one of you should be proud of the work you did today.
Thank you. And Mr. Loranga, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Loranaga, do you wish to introduce
Yes, absolutely. My name is
yourself
Michael.
and discuss things with the students?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Michael Lognaga, everybody. First and foremost, just wow, you guys did an amazing job considering the fact that you guys ran into a ton of technology issues. You guys did outstanding. Okay. A couple constructive comments. On the plaintiff side, I did notice a couple interruptions in terms of objections. I would like to see a little bit less of that. In terms of the defensive side, a little bit more witness preparation. I think a lot of it came down to nerves, which honestly is just a reality of trial and life. So, but considering the amount of technology problems that everyone had, you guys just did amazing. So I just want to give you guys a hands of applause and good job.
And thank you. And I'm Charles Peters. I'm actually a judge in several municipal courts, but I'm going to bounce off of what everybody said earlier. Everybody did a fantastic job, and I really, really, really liked the way you were able to overcome the technology issues. I believe, from what I understand, this is the first time it's being done by Zoom, and so I guess all of us were the guinea pigs. And so, but when something happened, as Ms. Plyer said, and it will happen when you're in court, there's going to be some sort of technology thing that happens. You're going to be halfway through something, you're going to realize that the recording is not working or something. You have to repeat stuff. I mean, I tell you, it's endless. If you've been around a while, you know all the things that can happen. But every one of you came through very shining, dealing with those issues. You had backups, and you had ways to get around it. Everything. I really liked the civility of this. Nobody got upset at the other side or were rude to the other side. In fact, that was great when once I gave up their some of their minutes and everything to allow and please, I apologize if I get wrong and everything, but I believe it was the plaintiff gave up some of their time to allow the defense to continue with their witness. To me, that is excellent. You always hear stuff about the inside the courtrooms, and unfortunately, some of it is true about lawyers, especially being very uncivil with each other in certain areas of the law. Unfortunately, that is true, but I am so happy to see that if you all go on to your career in law, you see that that's not the way it's done. So thank you very much. And I want to point out one very, very important thing. Do not pay attention to my rulings today. Your objections may have been 100% accurate, complete, everything. This is exactly the way you've been trained. One of my main jobs here was to make sure that both of you are able to get your evidence in. So if I sustained an objection and that affected you and everything, think nothing of it. Get with your coaches. See what the real ruling should have been. If I overruled your objection, do not think that you got it wrong. I mean, that could have just very well could have been me just needing to make sure that the other side could present their evidence. But having wrapped that up and everything, I thank everybody for being here. I'm not really sure how we're doing it on the as far as this, when we were in person, everything we'd all shake hands and stuff. So I guess we have to give each other virtual high fives. But thank you very much. And I believe, and the coordinator, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's it, and everybody can leave the meeting. Is that right?
Yes, this has concluded this session, this round of the mock trials. Just so you know, obviously, because we are running behind in this room as well, it will be a little bit before we start the next round. So just be patiently waiting for your assignments for your next courtrooms. And we will see you in the next round and look forward to continuing to work with you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, and great job to Team L.
Yes, great job.
Thank you. You guys are wonderful.
Thank you.